I'd like to call the meeting to order. Before we start, I'd like to apologize for the last meeting. There was little energy here, and if you look at the video, people were not doing what they were supposed to. So I just want to reiterate that this is a building committee meeting, not a city council meeting, not a board of ed meeting, and not a board of finance meeting. If somebody who's not on the board of a building committee and wants to make a statement, we have the public participation. And then at the end, we'll have it again. So we want to keep Robert's Rules of Order. It was a little out of hand last time, and I apologize for not bearing down on that. But remember, this is a building committee meeting only. Roll call. I'm here, Mario's here, Pat's here, Casey's here, Doug's here, Robin's here. Mike Wilson's here, John's here, Ellen's here, Dan, Dave, and Mike Sasso's here, John Jenny's here, Dean here, Marissa's here. I think I got everybody. Okay. Approval of the agenda. Have a motion to approve the agenda.
So
Second, please. Ellen and John. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, approval of the minutes. In the minutes, Marissa did put in that there were PCOs that were not on the list were approved, but Dan would like to have those numbers in the minutes, and Marissa has them. They are PCO 197R, PCO 2. These were given out last time, but they were not physically listed in the minutes, but they were listed as PCOs that were approved. 197R, 267, 281, 282, 283, and 284. Marissa has this. And then there was a couple of other things that Dr. Cravenzola had. One was his name, okay, how to spell it, and the spelling of MJ Daly, and the spelling of Daily Drive. So those I put in as a change in the minutes. Can I have a motion to approve those changes?
I'll approve the minutes with those changes.
Thank you, Ellen. Second?
I'll second.
Second, Robin. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
I'll have to abstain.
Abstain? Okay. Public participation, anybody? Okay. Next. Progress. Okay, Dan, you're up.
Very good. Good early evening, everyone. A reminder, to my left is Mike Sasso. He's our project engineer. Been with us a couple of times, but I thought I'd reintroduce. I'll start as typical with commentary, and then Mike will put up on the screen the photos that we have in our report, which may vary slightly
Yeah, they're
from
out of
the
order,
photos
because
that Ed had printed, because I did correct the sequence of photos. So beginning with our Area B, from the narrative that I put out, part of your packet. In Area B, on the exterior of the building, you recall we had the loading area that is now curtain wall closed, and the trade fully finished glazing that. At present, we're now finishing up the metal panel siding in that area. Also on the exterior of Area B, there's cement fiber panels that go all up around the tallest set of stairs that go to the roof. That work is still ongoing. It's got about 2 weeks left to finish. I indicate that the lower level shaft wall and soffit framing are finished. We went to work downstairs in the lower level, and that was part of the process of preparing for in-wall inspections. In-wall inspections are complete with the exception of Tech Ed and CNC. Those rooms are still in progress. And let's see, moving upstairs to the first floor, all of the HVAC control valve installation is now finished. We've actually finished the above ceiling inspections are complete all the way up through the building. They've been working on the hydronic piping expansion fittings. That's an important progress item for us. It allows them to finish the piping. About 95% of that work is finished. We have a little bit of work that finishes through Monday of next week. And then I look to finishes. The second floor plumbing fixtures is finished. A couple of odds and ends missing, but nothing significant. Third floor is about 80%. Fourth floor has people working up there. Bathrooms are finished with with partitions and toilet accessories and that kind of thing. Finish coat of paint is finished up through the fourth floor. Doors are swung. Ceiling tile, as of this report, was just starting to drop, but now is probably 60%, 70% installed. And we've closed up all the walls where we had the elevator shafts and the area that we had for loading. So gypboard installation there is now finished. Painted on 2 and 3, the painter's going up to 4. So we closed up the building, we're really basically finished off. In Area B, we had a couple of pictures to share. That is that curtain wall 4. That's where we used to load the product into the building and is now fully glazed. And the 2 side walls there take the same wood metal plank that we have in the other alcoves, and that's about 50 to 60% up the sides as of today. And also on the exterior of Building B, they've been working on the sunshades. So these are aluminum extensions that run vertically in the courtyard, as well as on the outside radius facing Route 8 and the pond. And then there's also horizontal sunshades that are being installed facing Route 8 for those driving by seeing new product on the outside. On the interior, this is a photo of the stairwell protection. That's that stair that goes all the way to the roof. It's protected by a mesh screen system that locks off, prevents student access to the upper roof. I think that's, we got one more fancy picture of a finished restroom. For those who are on site, I wasn't able to join on Saturday, but I understand that was a good opportunity to see final finishes in progress. I'll jump then to Area A. This is another one for B. Nope. Let's see. So on the exterior of the building, my comments here is that we're working the front entry soffit panels. At the soffit, it was finished. They're currently on the side of the building facing the pond. I mentioned that grid is complete, flooring is complete, HVAC control valves are complete. Temporary work in the ceiling has been removed. Ceiling inspections were nearly finished. They're now finished. And again, ceiling tile installation is in progress there. We have first and second floor plumbing is now finished. All the fixtures in the small isolated restrooms that we have. And restroom partitions and toilet accessories are finished. Sheet vinyl flooring, they actually finished that in the food lab area, as well as in the nurses suite. And display boards are finished. Elevator fronts are finished. In the main lobby of Area A, we've now installed the storefront. I'm going to put a photo of that. Looking up at the screen, that's a photo of our storefront. So we call them storefront. It's just a type of window frame system. That's now fully complete in the main entry, with the exception of hanging the actual doors. That's the last area to finish in our Area A main entry. The drywall has to complete the wall that is a bullet-resistant construction between the vestibule and the main office. And that work's ready to start next week. We got the display case in the main lobby by the elevator. You remember there was big holes there, the framing that was, we were waiting on the installing the casework until we were 100% finished with the elevator. That is now installed. So drywall is to finish, and then we're moving on. More drywall. Another photo for Area A would be, oh, nothing left for A. Just that one, huh? Okay. Oh, and the roof. Yeah, so those who drive by the buildings and see the roof screen's been installed around all the air handling units that were placed last month. I'll describe for Area C, again, the area around the auditorium. The storefront windows on both sides of the auditorium, frames are in. Glazing is actually in now. And today the plywood came down on one side. A couple of more days before that plywood is finally removed, temporary protection is taken out, and we can finish the drywall soffits up against that glazing. My report indicates that the overhead HVAC and lighting is complete now, with the exception of a couple of isolated areas where that protection had to come down first. I mentioned the restrooms finished for tile, floors, ceilings, all finished up now. In the auditorium, the platform work is also done. All the ceiling clouds similar to these in this room have been installed, and the major scaffold system has been brought down. That actually finished up yesterday. We room swept the space, and we invited the next team of people to head in that space. We're going to finish up our framing in there and finish up the wing walls and all the high work for AV Systems, whose is the coordination we had earlier today. Let's see. So for pictures we have for Area C, chillers on the roof, all of the equipment on the roof last month. The last items to land were the chillers. The photograph you're looking at here, it would be from stage left looking to the right from the stage. The platform is still there at the time. You can see the clouds kind of up in that space as they were finishing off. Again, that platform is gone now, and we have going to go to work on the stage, finishing the rigging and finishing all of the framing in the main room. Next is a progress picture in Area D. So I will mention in Area D, we had the grid finishing in the two cafeterias, the wall tile finishing, the overhead rough-in is complete. Now acoustical ceiling tile is actually complete in that space, and the light fixtures are installed. The light fixtures are quite dynamic.
Yes.
They're large radius light fixtures, LEDs.
And they're different heights.
Different sizes and
Yeah.
different heights. It's quite an
Really
impressive room in a high school cafeteria. Any other pictures to share for Area D? Looking down on the roof, RTUs. Again, so the RTUs landed. What you're looking at is a picture between the two cafeterias. The middle school would be on your right, the high school in the distance. That's a dedicated air handler for the high school cafeteria. You see the white ductwork, excuse me, adjacent to that. That's what's been going on since the equipment landed, as well as tying in piping to the equipment. Not sure if we have another photo. Area D is the kitchen servery. So not in my commentary, but the floor is finished in that space. That is a resin epoxy floor. That is now finished up. The grid is installed. We had all of kitchen equipment deliveries this week, 5 days of delivery. So all of that material is now in the space or staged in the high school cafeteria and being installed. So we have final overhead connections being done. We have final connections to equipment being done. Kitchen is moving along nicely. I'm very pleased. 11400 as your trade contractor has grown in their professionalism, and they're really handling the job very well organized and sequenced. Let's see, I'll move ahead then to Area G. Any more? Nope. In Area G, which is the gym, I mentioned in the report that the storefront windows, both sides of the gym, now frames are in. On the Route 8 side, the glazing is in. Their glazing is another couple of weeks away, and then we'll be glazing the other side. But also finished up in that space over the last month was the equipment installation, all the basketball hoops and the center curtain framing. Motors and things are all installed. There's fans in that space, large paddle fans. Those are also installed. Lighting's complete. Overhead AV systems, the speakers and stuff are all installed in there. So what we're waiting on in that space, or what's happening next, is we're buttoning up the exterior so that we can control the condition in that space and turn on the air handling units, and we're bringing in wood flooring. That room at one point was asked if we could deliver that room a little earlier. There's a need to place a basketball in there in the month of December. We don't foresee an issue, and we're planning accordingly so that barring any problems that we have with access or with the fire marshal, I don't foresee any issues with a December 1st occupancy, what's known as a owner's partial use occupancy. Area G moving ahead. In E and F, outside of the back of the photo on the screen is at the backside of the gym where kids will walk out of Area G and walk out towards the turf field. That ramp was poured as a structural concrete pour, but the detail there is the railings being installed by none other than my nephew.
How's he doing?
Okay. Yeah, it's a great opportunity. He's quick aside, he's decided he'd spent a year in engineering school, decided to get into the union instead. He started as a structural steel guy. He's talented and he knows how to use a ruler really well. And so he's now in miscellaneous metals and he's in the industry as a union trade. So similar to the process here that you were mentoring here, he's also looking at a good future. So that's our Area G. In Area E and F, work continues. Another picture of the courtyard. That's Area E. All that glazing is installed in those two spaces. They're both related to music, orchestra room, and keyboarding room. Other than that, the interior space, we painted out the first floor. We started gridding on the first floor. The grid contractor has been focusing now on keeping up elsewhere, so the grid we suspended the work on pushing grid along, but he's resuming back now that the auditorium is finished and his primary installation in A and B is better than 60%. So he'll be returning back to that area. Second floor is being painted, so we have a good run for ceiling grid to continue in E and F. Drywall is finished on the third floor. Sanding is wrapping up. There's a couple of touch-ups left over the next couple of days. And that's what you see on your screen. I'm not sure if that's third floor or fourth floor, but they're pretty much the same. They are ready to receive grid. So there's the third floor as it was 2 weeks ago. Let's see. Other than that, on the site side of things, everything's very busy on the site. We have a big push to get to the new driveway. You see here, we were still working around the back until school released, and we finished up the precast curbing there for what is the pre-K parking area. Since school is released, the focus has been on tearing up what was Major Bessie Drive and installing new curbing. The photo you see is ongoing concrete in the courtyard. Moving ahead nicely. We are looking at a position where we're focusing our energy on the site work to be bringing Major Bessie Drive up to snuff to pave on August 12th. And then they'll fall back into the courtyard. We should be topsoiled and ready. We look to start plantings in September. There's our aerial as of the end of May. Is that really the end of May? This would be a June report.
When you did the June photos,
you came on
That's right, we should have.
Mike does. Trust Mike. Listen explicitly now. So that's my segue to Mike, because Mike went out and took a bunch of pictures today and wants to share some information.
So this was this morning. The photo on your left, you're looking at the end of Area A. Cherry Hill's working on the vertical sunshade fins. They're progressing well there. It's probably double the amount this afternoon from this photo right now. On the right is the Foods Lab in Area B. They're just finishing up the detailing on that sheet flooring, the rubber sheet flooring in that room. Get ready for the stainless kitchen equipment to get set in there. Here on the left is the high school calf.
There's those cool little
you see those
hoop lights.
Those round fixtures, all the linear diffusers in. Speakers on your right is a progress photo of the middle school gym. Similar speakers are in. Painters can be going in to touch up the ball after all the electricians were in there. Light fixtures are in. Fans, pedestals are in. And you can see in the end that the temporary protections are out for the storefront on the Route 8 side of the middle school gym. Left photo, some of the kitchen equipment that was delivered this week. Those would be cashier stations, if you will.
Point of sale, yep.
On your right, you can see we got all the staging down in the auditorium. PDC has some material staged in there to finish out the framing of the soffits and the sail walls in that area.
So those are 45-foot long studs because they have to span from the slab to the underside of the roof deck. So that's what I was mentioning. Now that the major scaffolding is out, on the two sides of the auditorium, they have to build little platforms so they can put scissor lifts on the platform, and then they'll stand up the stud from the slab all the way up to the roof deck. Quite impressive studs. Had to get a special trailer to get those to the job site.
On your left here is Area B, second floor. Some of the flooring running out. They're working their way towards Area A.
That's corridor flooring.
Corridor flooring.
Last thing to happen before we clean.
Both photos, the right photo is right coming around the corner on Area B on level 3. Both photos you can see doors are swinging. Mostly all the ceiling tiles are dropped in these two corridors. And what you can't see in the classrooms, the painter working through final paint in the classrooms. Photo on the left is Area A, third floor. That's the library media center. You can see that intricate acoustical ceiling grid with the different triangles and trapezoids, rounduses, whatever you want to call them, for that ceiling system there. The ceiling system there, actually, the light fixtures are integral to the ceiling system. So where the T's go through, the light fixtures are actually very thin, and they drop in, and they're run within the ceiling tiles. So
there'll be little LED wide, 3/4 inch wide LED light strips. So where the grid is, it will be a light strip instead of a light fixture. They're scattered all through the space. And the triangles and the trapezoids, some are white and some are gray. Very, very cool solution.
Right side here is Area B, fourth floor. That's the greenhouse. The carpenters just finished up the FRP paneling in there this week. Painter's going in tomorrow, and then Monday this gets a similar resinous floor to the servery and the bathroom floors starting on Monday.
And that's where the loading zone was.
Exactly. That was the only way to get product all the way up to the fourth floor was through that big pane window. So we pulled those areas together. We finished off the elevator fronts. Now the last thing to sheetrock is the main lobby.
Left photo here is the stair 3 stair tower. The fiber cement panels being installed by PDC. Moving along.
That's what I was trying to describe earlier, is those cement panels.
You can also see up to the right of the stair tower, the sunshades that Cherry Hill installed along the Route 8 side on those science classroom storefront windows. The right photo is down in B lower level, the sheetrock moving through the corridor. To the right is storage areas, I believe, in the 2 restrooms that are in B lower level.
Yeah, we've had rockers down there for a couple of weeks now. They're moving along, getting almost to construction tech. Construction tech is not next week, it's the following week.
Out on the site, this is in the courtyard. A lot of the flat work is progressing very well in the courtyard. The 2 curtain walls, 18 and 19 on either side of the auditorium. The glazed, as Dan said, they're going to be working on tomorrow and early next week, getting the temporary protections out of those openings. On the right, you'll see we demolished the music wing on the existing high school. TJ Fucci's already moving in to strip some material and moving on that area once they're out of the roadway.
Forgot to mention that went very smoothly. There was a small amount of unanticipated asbestos material found under the slab that we will be dealing with as we're paying a change on this one mobilization. But we're now aware of it, and it's something that now we're providing some order of magnitude information for carrying forward your future. We'll do some more takeoffs, and then we'll have a number for what we think you'll see. You are covered by a contractual unit price on the removal of that product, so comfortable with the number we're going to be exposed to. And it's just a matter of what we found is that on the underside of the slab, which was not something that was previously tested, there is a mastic on the vertical face of the exterior foundation wall. And so that has to be chipped away, removed from the concrete so that it can be disposed of as asbestos material. The rest of the product doesn't have to go away as hazardous. But because we found it on a portion of the building from 1962, we figure it's going to be on all of the building that was built in 1962. So
What was it used for?
to adhere the insulation to the inside face of the foundation wall. So maybe at some point it was applied continuously, and maybe in some points it was only applied as daubs, as we call them, in location 2-inch diameter blobs that we used to stick it on with. If we calculate it based on what we found on this piece, it'll be a worst case scenario number. Order of magnitude here, we're about $8,500. We have to do the math to tell you where we are in the project.
So the frost wall itself, you're saying, was insulated, and however, they stuck the insulation on it.
Right.
Photo on your left here, this is the air handler that serves the auditorium space. It's a rooftop ductwork in place. Between the storefront and that air handler, you can see in the back is the rooftop chillers, the piping progressing underneath those. On your right, you're looking at the Major Bessie Drive going in. And some of the drainage laterals, the precast curb is going in. They're bringing up that road base. The entrance there.
Big storm pipe to bring across. The original storm that collected water from our laydown area goes through an old pipe that goes out into Major Bessie Pond. And our job was to replace the catch basins over the top and tie into that existing structures. Very deep work, at the same elevation as water. So that was the first thing to get out of the way there, the deep work. Now it's all backfilled. Looks like normal again.
On your left here, this is the old temporary roadway. There's now a 10-foot retaining wall in its place.
Hard to see the difference between the retaining wall and what you're looking at as a gravel. But there is the closure now of the retaining wall comes all the way around to support construction of Major Best Drive.
The right side is somewhat subgrade of the new roadway. The retaining wall on your right where that skid steer is. The existing is on your left, obviously. We relocated our office trailer up into the right. You can see a little dot there. It's going to be our new home base once there's power there.
Right, and we moved our field office in anticipation of the next move after we've opened the school again in September. We're building that permanent parking lot, and that's to increase the number of available stalls and build that parking lot to 100%, so that when we turn over in January, you have that full complement of parking available. Well, I tried to be brief. Thank you, Mike. Does anyone have any questions as to what's going on?
Just getting back to the asbestos, so what you found in the user agreement was a sheet that adhered to the entire length of that frost wall.
Yeah, so the insulation is continuous.
Right.
And the way it was applied in that condition, there was a continuous bead or continuous lens of black mastic applied from roughly 1'2" from top, from 1'2" down to the foot. So they had to chip off that face. It was continuous.
They're hoping that in the rest of the building it's a blob type, so it's a
It would
smaller
be
surface.
not uncommon that you wouldn't need to use that much mastic to hold that product in place. It's just, we don't do it that way today. Whether they did it that way as a rule, that would be the worst case scenario.
It was $8,500 for the
Were there any drawings of the building back in?
So we have a set, yeah.
Did it show that?
No. The drawing set that we have from 1964, 62 is about I don't know, I'd say it's only about 60 pages. So it's got maybe 15 pages of structural and 25 pages of architectural, and nothing to that level of detail. It does help us on occasion just to see how things have held up. And that was, again, your original construction. Those documents were found by SLAM prior to me.
So is there missing documents?
There's what?
You think there's missing documents, or was that the?
No, that was the complete build set. I don't know, as far as shop drawings or anything else that might have been produced back in the 60s. But that's what we had for reference to understand and develop scope for what the trade's at.
60 pages compared to 1,000.
Yep,
Yeah.
60 compared to 1,000. We have a hard roll in our office. I wanted to fly through them just to see what's there. You'll need them for another 6 months or so.
New paper or old paper?
They're new. I took the digital images and plotted them. So we have on my agenda, I have 3 additional items I needed to touch on with you. The first is a monetary thing. From the original, what we call Phase 2A. So building this portion of the building and delivering in December is what we have as described in our documents as Phase 2A. And then we have what we do when we take over the building in January to the end as building Phase 2B. Concrete and steel have been requesting retainage reductions for their work for building 2A. So the structural steel that went up over a year ago, he's pretty much been the most outspoken in requesting. It's not unusual, but in bringing that to Ed, and he just wanted me to bring it up to the committee at large, that we are looking to fund a 2.5% reduction. All of our trades are at the inception of the contract and the first payment. Everything that we pay, we hold 7%. 5% is standard of the industry. An additional 2% is held for the state of Connecticut CHRO, Small Business Program, called Affirmative Action Program. Once the trade provides their evidence of soliciting for small businesses and meets the criteria of the state sends us a letter and tells us to release that 2%. So generally, that's finished now for all the trades. So we have 5% retainage with help. So in the case of like Berlin Steel, who stood up the building a year ago, we're sitting on 5% of their money. And that's not unusual. That's certainly what you want to hold as you get to the punch list stage and finishing out the contract with the trades. But a 2.5% reduction on structural steel and concrete is typical because there is no punch list per se. What we have found, we found it already. It's pretty much behind us. So as part of our due diligence, we have a closeout protocol where we're going through the documents and making lists of everything that they owe us for closeout documentation. In the case of structural steel, it's certifications from the mill. It's all of their their Connecticut high performance requirements. Did they meet all the recycling requirements, all that kind of stuff. Once they have all that in place, then we can make a recommendation to reduce. I've made that for Berlin Steel. So not in this pay period, but in the progress through July, I'm requesting a 2.5% reduction for Berlin Steel and Marguerite. Excuse me.
We have a motion to, in the July payment, to give Berlin Steel and Marguerite reduction of 2.5% for retention. Motion. Second? Second. Case? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
What else I got? I got 2 things more. One is, and this is on the benefit of representing SLAM's information that they provided that they asked us to put on the screen. So Ed has hard copies of what we spoke to at the last meeting was the graphic that will be at the high school main entry. At the high school main entry, there's a graphic as you walk in the building, you turn left to go to the auditorium, you kind of go straight to go to the gym from the future primary parking lot. So this is the graphic that we looked at last week where SLAM had presented a couple of options. The decision was made to select words rather than images to complement that graphic. And what they would like is a confirmation that everybody is happy with the words. Approval needed for words used. Okay, that's what it says at the bottom of that screen. This graphic was shared by SLAM to us so that we could put it on the screen, and then we also provided the hard copies.
not the color, only the words.
The colors are already chosen.
Colors.
They're your now selected maroon, which has a Pantone number and will forever be Torrington's purple, maroon,
Maroon.
red. So in order for them to issue that to me, so that we can go out to the trade and get samples made and graphics done, they're looking for input on the lettering, on the verbiage. It's not critical path. If the decision is that you'd like to take a look at the words and contemplate, I'm not installing this sign for, 8 months.
What was that?
How about to kick it down when we have a
Kick it down
larger.
the path.
Okay.
letter, so.
Right, hold it for next meeting.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to say, Mike, does it have the same shading as the T everywhere else? We don't have a solid white,
Same as the,
we don't have a solid white around the T, we have different,
there's both.
Right.
Gray and a black.
right,
On the court,
yeah, if we
the
could,
court line drawings.
get that at least included, and then we can make a decision on the words, which I'm sure would be fine.
I think they put white just so it could stand out.
Yeah,
But they can render it with gray and see if you like it.
Yeah.
yeah, Mike knows where it goes. I think that's where it goes, the gray goes where the black is or something, I don't remember.
Okay.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It goes gray where
Is
the black
there somebody whose job it is to unite the high school's imaging? Like what, I don't know what words the school district would prefer be used, or would prefer to highlight on their stationery or in their mottos or publicity stuff. I mean,
Well-
that, they would be involved in the decision, right?
The main one is what you do well, and I won't attempt to pronounce it, but Claude Fascius
I mean, I
Benefart.
don't know if Raider Pride is gonna stick around, or if somebody wants to change that, or if tradition
think-
wasn't something everybody wanted. I don't know if anybody is in charge of that.
How about does it go along with the portrait of the graduate?
It does.
Yeah, so that would be,
So Doug, that's the key one on here, and many of these are used in other uses. Raider Pride is used a lot, tradition, honor, all that stuff, but we could table this until we have more
Yeah, I
people
would
here.
suggest maybe circulate it.
Yeah.
Sooner rather than later, so.
Get that in the email,
Yeah.
send it out, and tell them we'll talk about it next month or something.
alright. Also, what you do well should be probably bigger than Raider Pride. That's more our,
That's our go-to.
yeah. Quad Fascis Benefat was used, I think, especially when you guys were there. That was like the motto of the school.
Yeah,
We did do that a lot when I was there. I think we need to still bring that
Yeah.
back a little bit, but that is and has been the motto.
yeah, we went so far as to put it on some of the uniforms,
Yeah,
and then we were made to take it off.
yeah, that makes sense now. The Raider Pride is
Because
kind of like standing out.
Right, because when you look at it, you see Raider Pride.
Yeah, right.
So maybe,
We need everybody's input.
Yeah,
I think, so.
I'll send it out.
Second thing, or the third thing for me, is the second item or image that I wanted to share. There's been a donation, I understand, of 2 benches to be added to, we have another graphic to give you another version. We can blow it up on the screen to help out a
this
little
one,
bit. Thank you, sir. Yeah, because I use different colored clouds. So there was an email that went along with this that described the options. I don't know if that's in which okay, so let me step back a second. So in the middle of the screen, you see something that's highlighted in yellow. That's at a slab edge. There's concrete doors for the 2 classrooms that exit into the courtyard. There are 2 bunches included in contract in that location. So somewhere in the courtyard, the decision is requested to locate 2 additional benches. And so we thought what would be appropriate would be to either place them on concrete or add a little pad to keep them prouder outside of what was placed. The email that came from SLAM, which should have been attached when I sent you the file, we might be able to pull it up. What they said was they came up with, in the 2 red bubbles, you could add those 2 if you want to add seating for when people are watching the projection screen. So that would be option 1, or location 1A and 1B. And then option 2A and 2B would be the next in the bluer clouds, where you're just adding a little seating in the courtyard because it's a nice place to have seating in the courtyard. And then up and to the right is if you wanted to choose two more choices, you could go with any one of those 5 bubbles. And so we were kind of pushing Mario and Ed to just kind of pick where you wanted to put the concrete for the new benches. And we thought we could bring it to the building committee just so they knew that the decision needed to be made. And if they wanted to provide some input as to where you thought these 2 extra benches should go. So as you scan back to the bigger picture, you got to just kind of go with your gut and say, I got 2 more benches to place in this courtyard. I could be an architect, I could be a landscape architect today and decide where to put them.
See where the 2 yellow are?
Those are already included in the project.
Correct.
Project.
So on the left, just put 2 more in that same little arch.
So the difference
Just to the-
between putting right there is that you have concrete that continues through the arc. So there's no physical break. Where the 2 that are yellow, those are up against grass. You can see the kind of speckle pattern.
Oh,
That's
I see,
grass.
okay.
Where it's white and white, where the arch continues, it's concrete to concrete. So putting them there is not enough.
Also, there might be a case where there's, seating in that courtyard. And if you're seated in a folding chair, you'd be looking at the back of these benches. And I'm not sure if that's ideal. And additionally, there might be a band on top of the concrete there. And they'd be looking at, the person in that bench would literally be looking inside a tuba. The class of 74 donated these with the intent that they go in the courtyard somewhere, but truthfully, I think the 2 best uses are, and I can't read them.
It's red enough.
You like 4B and 5B.
Is that fun?
Yeah, so
I thought it was
Mario
marvelous.
likes them farthest from the action.
Well, I'm just seeing a kid waiting for a ride,
That's a pretty good idea.
and he's got someplace to sit. And I don't know what those
Utility.
letters say.
Can you replace the ones that are included with these? Put the ones that are included in the
Well, I
location?
think you could, but they're not.
No, I don't say eliminate them, I'm saying location ones.
Yeah. Oh, he means put the class of 74 here and put the other 2 out there.
Yeah, placing any product in.
They're the same bench.
They're the same
They're
bench.
the same benches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dean, it's true, you could do that. So that says what? I don't know how that says.
This is for a,
Yeah, he can zoom it in to make it.
Yeah, zoom that one, right there, the kid's waiting for a ride. Oh, 4B and 5B. And 5B is already on concrete, so we wouldn't have to pour a pad.
That's correct.
4B, we'd have to pour a little pad. And to Dean's point, if
they're the same benches.
well, they're the same benches, and we could keep, in keeping with the class of 74's wishes, we could have the yellow ones be theirs, and the other 2 be the other ones.
It's just naming it.
Yeah, they're the same exact benches, except the class of 74 has 2 little,
So why not just use instead of 2 more, just use those as a class of 74.
Right, you already own the 2, the ones that are being donated, you're gonna end up with 4.
Which
You
is,
can't go back to 2.
No, I can't.
Okay.
yeah, which is
So we
okay.
already, basically, you bought the 2 that are in our contract, we
Right.
basically have them already.
Right.
And
Oh, so
then
we have them already.
you have them already.
Yeah, so let's do this. Does anyone agree with the placement of, I forget what letters,
4B and 5B?
4B and 5B? That would be step 1, if everybody's in agreement with that, or if anyone has any different ideas.
Do you have a picture so I can see where they are? This is hard for me to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's,
A picture,
Like a picture,
That's the,
not a blueprint.
like where it is.
Let's see, when you were looking at the picture of the glazing that went outside the band and people, we'll jump back to that presentation.
I'm sorry.
oh, no, it's
No, I
actually
just
a good
say-
idea.
See it in the.
yeah, because is the sun directly in your face there, or are you in the dark? I mean, is there any kind of
No, you won't
consideration
be
like
in the
that?
dark, because that's the entry circle,
Okay,
for sure. And
Oh, this is the entry.
But I
the
mean,
sun will be passing
okay.
over your head laterally.
okay, so you're not, when you sit there, the sun's not directly in your face?
Uh-uh.
Okay. Okay.
What are the things that look like sand dollars?
Well, those are trees, except the one with the one at the bottom of the page, closest to the curve of the
Yeah.
building, that's the outdoor classroom.
Okay,
The light ones are trees.
okay. And there's no seating, sorry if I missed this before, there's no seating down there in front of the stage? It's just,
There isn't.
No.
Presently, there's no benches or seating.
and they would, so if there was something going on, chairs would be brought out?
Yeah, I would think so. Well, not, you know what, I misspoke, I got mixed up. Yeah, the chairs would bring up.
But to your point, if you put a bench right on that piece of concrete,
Right.
it might be
You're looking at
6 feet away
Yeah.
from somebody playing the tuba.
Right,
How
correct.
big's the bench?
Yeah.
I mean, 2 people, 3 people sit on it?
It's the same, remember the benches out near the athletic field? It's the same exact bench.
Yeah, but
Last
it's
year.
a few people.
It's a park bench,
So
2 people.
you have-
3 people,
3 if you're cozy, 2
Yeah.
if you're
So
normal.
putting it there for people to be watching.
yeah, it doesn't really pay
Doesn't
off.
make no sense.
No.
Wonder if these are, I wonder if their intent is to face them towards the building or towards the park.
Where's the building?
Really?
How much zoom can you give us here, Mike?
There's a wall of
Or they'd be outside.
windows.
So where the white and red truck are,
Yeah.
that glass wall is where the arch is, where the 2 doors that exit from the classrooms out to the courtyard go out, and that's where the bench will be, right where the bed of the red truck is.
Yeah, but I think Ellen was asking, where's those other entry point benches?
Yeah.
So then if you slide this photo up and to the left, as you move towards where those vehicles are parked, no problem. You can almost get to see right on the far edge of the right edge of the image is where the drop-off loop and driveway is. The blue truck is in the driveway, the future driveway. And so the 2 benches that Mario were just selecting, if you can picture a driveway driving right through the blue truck and the white truck on the right side of your image, just to the left of that would be the placement of one of the benches. And about where the puddle is, the darker brown or the muddy watercolor, the middle of that, that would be where the other one would be.
So kids would sit in them when they're waiting for rides.
Like on the sidewalk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah, you know what? What I don't know if I agree with this, the bench is facing the building on that first, where the red truck is.
I think we can resolve that later.
No, I understand. I don't want to get too deep into the
No,
weeds,
no.
but it's like you're being punished, you're in the
The
corner.
reason why we're bringing this up now is we're pouring concrete
Yes, I
in
know.
this area.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out,
Yeah.
we want to
Right.
put the concrete in the right areas.
All right, so
And there's
notwithstanding,
no added cost, it's just,
well, there'll be one little pad this size.
Pad of concrete that big, I don't know, I can get it for free.
So Does anyone have any objection to 4B and 5B? Or any other ideas?
Drag that out again. See if there's.
It's a good idea
To have them where the
waiting
kids
for
are
the
sitting.
ride, you know? I like that. And that little arch where the yellow, that's facing
There'll be two there too.
the school?
Yeah, well, right now, but we can talk about that later. I
Okay.
think it should face the courtyard myself, but that doesn't matter because that concrete's gonna be there. All right.
So the two places where you're suggesting
Yeah, the two highlighted ones at the top of the screen there.
you wouldn't have to pour any concrete?
One of them, yes, one of them,
yes,
no.
one of them, no.
Okay.
Okay? Rob, Doug, everybody? Right, I didn't make it. So, all in favor of placing the two, well, not the two gifted benches, but two benches at 4B
And 5B.
and 5B? Make a motion, anyone?
So
Rob and Patty. All in favor? Oh, any comment? We just talked about it for 6 years. All in favor?
Aye. Okay. Great job, Mario.
I know.
I'm telling you. Unbelievable.
You thought that out yourself, Mario?
Yeah, he did.
I did.
He's good.
I've been thinking about it since the last meeting.
Okay, next, John, any update?
The soon-to-be-issued Field Report 76, we're tracking 17 items, and as usual, nothing is earth-shattering. They're all items that will be addressed. It has been very quiet on the material testing front because of where the project is in construction. There's not a lot of concrete being poured. There's all the fireproofing is essentially done in the areas they're working in, so there haven't been any updates or new reports issued for material testing. Things continue to move well. It's great to see the ceilings going in and the flooring going down. It's starting to actually come together really well. And for those that went on the tour, I'm sure you saw that. But no, everything is going well, continues to go well, and nothing on our items that we're tracking are need to be worried about. They're getting taken care of.
Any other questions for John? Next item.
Excuse me, and if I may, I just wanted to mention, I didn't go through my full report. I didn't jump into any of the cost schedule issues. There's not much variance. The documents have been produced, so please take the time if you're interested in any of the particulars, and also the summary data on the project. The project has moved ahead several percentage points this month. You can see where we are financially. We did have some cost applied to CM contingency, but overall project costs have not gone much change. Okay.
Next one, Phase 2, application and certification for payment of $4,527,759.18. Have a motion to approve that. Okay, Pat, second. Second, Case. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, next, dedication plaque. I made those changes. There's one change I didn't make. I waited for this is your initial, middle initial.
Esquire.
Don't put the Esquire there.
Patrick W. ESQ.
I got a comment from Donna, and she said the 2020 on the listing may confuse people in the future. If someone's looking at the plaque years from now, I think they could reasonably think that the school is open in 2020, especially if there is no dedication date or other reference to when the building opens. Perhaps we could write Building Committee 2020 to 2025.
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
Now, with a comment, I see where she was thinking at the point.
Yeah.
It does look like the.
Yeah,
right,
One year,
yeah, no.
As opposed to everybody's time over a 5-year period.
yeah.
Isn't it, shouldn't it be 2026, isn't that done?
be able to park.
Well, the
We're
building.
gonna have to do some overseeding in the spring of 2026, but generally, we're done.
Yeah,
at the end
because the
of
middle school will be
2025.
in on 2025,
That's true. Students will occupy it.
Okay.
okay?
Have you went to visit some other plaques?
Yeah,
And did you
they're
find
all
that was?
different.
They're all different. Yeah. All right, I think,
I think that's a good point.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. We're not missing anybody, right?
No. Kathleen, I changed the name, okay?
The hand is speaking.
Okay,
Speak to the hand.
Okay, so after State Representative Michelle Cook, there's 6 names on the left, 5 on the right.
Uh-huh.
Could we put Fiona's name in the middle and 5 on each side? Because it was her idea for this building to begin with.
Just balance something right in the middle.
And it
the
would
bottom.
balance
Yeah.
both sides, but Fiona at the top of the list, in the middle.
I think it was
Yeah, or like Kathleen over towards the middle. Yeah.
I'm with Ellen on recognizing Fiona in that subtle way that won't even be mentioned, but those of us who are here will know it.
This was her idea like 9-10 years ago.
do you have any?
Should there be a colon after, I guess the other way around, Mike Wilson, superintendent versus,
You need the colon after.
Actually, yeah, can we ditch the colons?
who's the?
Is that improper?
You have a good colon?
Do you want to,
Okay.
do you guys want a colon after co-chair, or can you do without the colon?
It just, the top here, you have co-chairs, and then you have state representative.
Right,
colon,
so it's
Michelle
either
Cook.
all colons or
Oh,
none.
I see, I see.
Carol,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So maybe if you take them out, it would be cleaner.
What do you mean?
Take out the colon.
Oh, okay.
Put like a little dash or something? or-
What about switching it, say, superintendent colon, Michael Wilson, retired superintendent? and
Right,
then-
because the
Yeah,
above
do
it
that.
has what their
Do that.
position is.
We'll just switch them. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no problem. Okay,
Yeah, because you have down the bottom, construction manager, owners administrator.
right, yeah.
It's true, you take the italic off the superintendent, retired superintendent, you swap them left to right. That's the only thing that's italicized.
Okay,
Yeah.
Those three.
So it won't be a,
No, yeah, I do like swapping them, actually. Superintendent Michael.
right, and then, well, we won't, this will be regular
Yes, regular font,
font. Like regular meat.
right.
And what would you introduce?
I don't think it really matters too much for
What?
The plaque.
the corporate in the OG.
Oh, yeah. No, we're not gonna do that.
The 3
We
names.
add more letters, they're gonna ask us to pay them.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
Let's sneak under the radar here.
So the change is Building Committee 2020-2025, move Fiona up in the middle, so we'll be 5 and 5 in that. Switch superintendent, retired, and keep it regular font with the colon. Colon's okay.
One more thought worth considering, the 3 names, superintendent, retired superintendent, assistant superintendent, are not center justified. Everything else seems to be. See how it shifted off to the right?
Yeah.
I wonder if those 3 should be center justified, so they're in the middle of the plaque.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't do that.
No,
Take it over,
I
no.
didn't pick up the last one.
So
Okay.
when you put superintendent here, they should
Yeah.
all line
Yeah,
up.
that's, tell Slam.
It'll be,
Just
Yeah,
center
just
it,
center
Center,
the whole
yeah.
sentence on the
Yeah,
center of the
right.
page.
center the group.
Yeah.
Right, instead of it being
I'll have-
skewed, correct.
What was that? You?
Askew.
Skew. Okay, are we all in favor of that?
All right, hold on.
Sorry.
Oh, wait.
Danny said, you should have, yeah. Co-chairs. Is there supposed to be a hyphen between co and chairs?
Probably.
There's supposed to be a hyphen,
Yeah, okay.
and the C is still small if it's hyphenated, right? Gotta get it right,
I
Dean.
always capitalize.
Capitalized, we'll capitalize.
Mikey, hyphen between co
Ferguson's
Yeah.
not there.
and a cap and a big C.
Yeah.
Fiona's in the middle.
Any decent secretary.
Josh is gonna say.
That's your sign, guys.
Right, so you got 5 and 5,
One of that's the sign.
So, yeah.
Make adjustments.
and you're flip flopping.
There's no need to put the name of the project on it.
I don't know.
Well, it should
Might not
probably,
have been, might not have been my point to bring up, the one that said it.
Oh, like in small print, you mean?
Torrington High School, middle school.
Administrative offices?
you should say Torrington High School, Middle School, above building committee.
And the central
No, it
office.
can be below. Building committee bigger and then what the project
And
is.
central office, oh shit.
It's a lot more letters though.
Bigger plaque.
Yeah.
If you seek our monument, look around you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's at the site, do we need to mention that it is? That That's
Yeah.
what it is,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's gonna be in the building.
what do you guys think? He's looking at the picture.
Yeah, when your
He's got a couple
tour
of
of
pictures.
other plaques, you can notice.
Yeah.
On our website, so I don't look at the address,
Torrington Middle School,
Torrington Middle School, yeah.
it even says Torrington Middle School, Torrington, Connecticut Building
Yeah.
Committee. That we don't have to get into.
That's Torrington Middle School. That's the one. Torrington School.
You gotta put the
Yeah,
school on
yeah.
there. Mikey,
And the old one too. The first Torrington School had it too.
And Torrington School was first and building committee was after?
yes, it's.
Yeah.
On the top, it
On the
says,
top.
it says the school.
School.
So,
We follow the construction documents that say Torrington Middle School, High School, Central Office Administration.
I would lose
Torrington High School,
administration unless you're going
High
with a.
School.
Well, administrative offices. Torrington High School,
You could just do
Middle
CHS,
school,
backslash,
administrative
middle school,
offices.
backslash, middle school.
Yeah.
We would
I
have
was
to
thinking
spell
too.
it.
Yeah, THS/MS/.
ADM.
Central office, central office, that's the.
This is why committees should never do things like this.
Got it, Mikey. THS/.
Yeah, we'll go over it, Mike.
Mike, for decades, no pressure, for decades, what you write on that piece of paper is gonna be
Right,
forged in that building itself.
Okay, so I think we got it.
Look at it.
One more
Yeah.
thing.
Talk to the hand.
No, that's it, this is it.
That's
it.
Since Fiona's not here, she was quite adamant about not having the mayor's name on this plaque.
The mayor's name has to go on the plaque.
Yeah.
Has to.
Because,
Because it's the right thing to do, and when you look back 50 years from now, that's what you're gonna be judged on.
And just as an aside, do we have to put a colon after mayor?
Jesus.
No, that's her title.
Yeah,
That's her title.
So
She
you put
is
a
mayor
colon.
Eleanor.
You're right,
You don't-
mayor,
you're right.
right.
Okay.
It'd be the same for state representative, she wouldn't have a colon. Although I missed it, are we going with colons or without colons? I missed that part.
How's your colon?
I just found out, so.
State representative, right, it shouldn't be a colon.
yeah,
Okay.
I mean, listen, I'm not the decision maker here, but it's my opinion that the mayor's name should be on it.
Yes.
So it's a committee decision.
Well, I think to not have her on there is petty and it's
Yeah.
addictive and it belongs on there.
I tend to agree. None of us always agree with each other.
Right.
But, yeah, I think it's the right thing to do, most of all.
You need to make those changes and circulate another draft.
Yeah, as soon as, I gotta wait till Kemp gets back, because he. I'll send this out, over the weekend.
Yeah, Mike. Oh, no, Mike.
No, slam did that, yes, I was up to slam. Okay. Next. Dan, you want to go over the PCOs?
Certainly. In your packet are the PCOs that were reviewed, approved through the course of the month. Beginning with, right off your agenda as well, the first item is proposal request number 75, and that is for plywood wainscoting. At a point when we were walking through the
It's
loading area
285.
coming in behind,
It's 285, you said 75.
oh, I'm sorry, it's PR 75, but PCO, proposed change order number 285.
Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you.
So plywood was suggested to protect the walls. They were just currently drywall, and that's what that cost represents. Adding 3/4 of plywood and a trim piece across the top. Next item was the $0 change that reflects the closeout of an allowance. We put all these funds into a PCO that's $0 change to the contract we have with you all, but we use it to generate the change order that goes to the state so that they can see that we use the funds for what was applied or what was in the allowance, and then they fund reimbursement on the use.
They change, right? They reallocate funds from ineligible to eligible.
Right.
Ineligible funds go down, eligible funds go up.
When they go through the documents, we list all of the allowances that we carry. Those are deemed as ineligible at the time that we start construction. And then, as Dave described, the funds have to move from one category to the other. Okay, our next item is there was a tree drainage conflict, a little typo in the agenda. Out in the back, where the ONG field office just went in the student parking area that's up into your far, I guess it would be technically far southeast corner of the property. The documents showed drainage piping and trees to be saved in the same spot. The trees were lost, so we have to get 2 new trees and move the catch basin structure out of alignment issues that were there. The next item is another, nope, this is not an allowance. This is a larger cost. At the front of both the Area A and the Area F building, we have uninsulated. We have areas of the building that protrude out beyond the insulated or conditioned space of the building, and they needed to be stick pinned insulation to try to keep the insulation barrier back at the structure itself. The construction sequencing wouldn't allow that stick pin insulation to happen along with the AVB, so we made a decision to utilize CM construction funds to use a spray foam AVB or air vapor barrier product at a cost to the project, and we took the small cost that was in the contract with the stick pin insulation to reduce the overall cost, a larger hit to the CM contingency. Next is PCO 293. This represents a cost between trades where we had assigned temporary protection over roof curbs for air handling units to one trade that they couldn't perform the work. They agreed to have another trade do the work on their behalf. So we're just modifying contract amounts for that. PCO 294 is a series of small costs in the $2,000 to $5,000 range for more temporary protection, more safety, building some partitions for dehumidification, containing space areas and things. As part of our general trades, why we have a general trades contractor on the job, funded from the CM contingency at a $0 cost to the project or to the owner's GFP. Would be the accurate way of stating that. Next is PCO 295. We've exceeded the allowance that we carry for trade toilets. This is 1 month's worth of toilet cost for the project. Overall, that was a significant hit to the CM contingency as we're carrying that $8,500 now for about 7 more months. In my projection, so my CM contingency projection is still whole. It's dwindling, but not certainly not in jeopardy of zero. Similar CM contingency cost for miscellaneous items that the general trades contractor picked up. You can read the descriptions of each of the items. We had some roof cleaning items, we had some patching work, we had some demo for this block. Next item is a larger cost to the CM contingency again, and that's when we developed the plan. Personally, I developed the plan for how you were going to route bus traffic after this, when the students return in September of this year. That queuing was not adequate and not enough to what would have allowed use of Major Betsy Drive. So we increased the scope of work for what we were going to get accomplished this summer. And in doing so, added some square footage of temporary paving at a cost of $40,000. Next item is just a $0 change for PCO 298. PR was issued to move on our wireless access points. There was no cost to move them, but we documented the change as a no-cost change. Moved them at no additional cost. Another way of saying that. We received a small credit because the documents included a little sink cup and a faucet to be provided by the science casework provider, but the plumbing documents, and nor does the program require those two items in your fuel hoods, so we got $500 back. The next item is a hit to the owner's side of the contingency. There were two rooms that the cord reels were shown, where cord reels were shown on the architectural drawings, but not on the electrical drawings. So we taxed the owner's contingency.
It's your
Incorrect.
contingency.
I was gonna slap myself for
Yeah,
saying that.
slap yourself.
Okay, so when something was shown on the architectural side, but not on the electrical side, often we go back and forth on something like that. Is it in contract? Is it out of contract? It's out of contract for the electrical trade, but is it in our responsibility? We go back and forth. This one we took to the CM side. Again, we're trying to keep more money on the owner side of the contingency, but a legitimate cost to the electrical trade.
Oh, hold on a second.
Yes,
The cords were not shown on the drawing? Is that what
they're
you're
not
saying?
shown on the electrical drawings. All right, we had to figure out, we had a whole matrix of where they were shown on architectural, where they were shown on electrical. We could move all the ones around, so we had to divide them in and move it.
So they are shown elsewhere, though.
They're shown on the architectural.
So to be clear, that's whose contingency?
Yes.
You know,
What's the cord reel?
A pull down plug.
Oh, gotcha.
Right.
isn't a contractor's contract based on the drawings in their entirety?
No,
No?
my contract is. But no, hanging an electrician to provide cord reels if they're not picked up on the electrical lines, means there's no circuitry shown, means they're really not taking them off that. We argue that on small things, like if it's a motor shown, but the circuit's not shown, then, something is shown on the electrical drawing. In this case, nothing was shown on the electrical.
Well, that's another issue, but we're tracking those.
Our PCO number 302, at the front of the building of the high school main entry, there's a sloped roof. The end conditions didn't indicate, how to contain the roof water from creeping out the two sides. We took this to the CM contingency. We built dams on the sides of that roof to ensure that you had no water infiltration on the sides. And maybe I should have assumed that or figured something out, but that's why we took it to the CM side. That work was performed on time, material, and verified.
The question is what you're asking why?
I'm sorry?
Why it wasn't designed?
Yeah, why wasn't this,
The oversight.
It's kind of like every little
because it's so
corner.
big?
No, it's kind of like, do they draw a detail that shows every single condition at every single interface? There's far too many of those conditions. So this happens to be a condition. If you're looking at that shed roof, as that shed roof moves off to the edges, you have the wood panel that comes down the sides. there was nothing shown to stop the water from going beyond the edge. And so I had to engage a contractor to build end dams, essentially to keep that water inboard.
Right, so you don't really discover that until you're building it. It wasn't, I mean, the architect would have made those?
If the architect had drawn up a section of that specific spot, we would have owned the product. We would have owned from the trade contractor putting in that end dam. But because that particular spot didn't have a section cut through it, he doesn't own what's not shown. It is.
Right, I get that, so it's at the drawing and that it was
That
missed.
missed.
Thank you.
But as a builder, I
No,
try to carry
absolutely.
some of that stuff in my, in allowances,
Mhm. And that, is that typical of,
And a project of this
Projects?
magnitude, you're doing pretty well overall.
okay,
We haven't had, like our contingency is still strong on the CM side, even though I take these hits to the CM side. We're still, at the numbers we've looked at on the project, we're still not even at 0.5%, which averages can be, on an average is 2%. On a project of this magnitude, we might be down around 1.5%, just because the numbers are so big. But again, at this point, we're tracking minimal percentage-wise. I mean, dollar-wise, $1 million. $1 million, but it's, as a percentage, it's well below industry average.
Like you said, you have 1,000 drawings. If every condition in the entire building was drawn, you'd have 2,000 drawings.
Right.
Because like the Empire State Building, we mentioned, is 100 drawings to design the Empire State Building. Things were done differently. The school was done with 60 drawings back in the 60s or whatever.
Right.
So it's always a balancing act on how many details is enough to convey the design intent. And to capture every condition is not, you can't get
so it's
every
typical.
detail. Yeah, some degree,
Yeah,
yes.
we're a little better than industry, we're doing better than industry standard on this project today.
This is my first time to build it,
The
so.
more information you provide, the more information people expect.
Yes.
That's what happens.
Yes.
As we get more and more drawings, volumes and volumes and volumes of specifications.
60 pages versus 1,000.
Okay, and we still miss.
If you had 2,000, you'd still miss.
Yeah, probably.
There would be some, right?
But I think the key there is just, we go into these projects knowing historically what is needed, right? And we allocate things like 3% for just this type of thing. And where we are is at 0.5%.
Right.
Okay.
So, I mean, when you think of averages and what typically happens, it'd be alarming if we found ourselves getting up to 2.5%. Now that would be more uncalled for. I wouldn't be worried about these numbers. We're well under, right? It was contemplated from day one as we were doing all the budgeting. We're well under that.
And there are opportunities. PCO 303 is an opportunity where somebody made, architecturally, the piers that are out by your future entrance to the turf field, build a new gateway, so to speak. There used to be the old gateway down by the parking lot where the building is now. That same fencing has been salvaged and will be reused when we build the new. So we're building new pillars. They were stone, and the idea was that's kind of an odd product because there's no stone around. And so the decision was made to go to brick. And there's a small savings to go to brick. Next item is again a back chart between trades, so it's a $0 change. Work assigned to the plumbing contractor was performed by the flooring contractor. Next item represents a CM contingency cost, and that is we had to power up the building prior to some of the owner's equipment being installed, and that equipment required in the service of the electrical wire to that equipment needed to be safed off. Also, we relocated some of the temporary power to facilitate closing ceilings. And lastly, when we made some space use changes in the media center, the floor plan changed and locations of floor boxes changed. Excuse me. And so that represents the additional cost of the electric trade. Let's see. Gypsum trade. Oh, and that's because we had to add a mullion mate, which is a fancy device that finishes off the wall when it terminates up against the wall. Up against the glass. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank
My
you.
inability to clear my throat.
Have a motion to approve PCOs. Have a second?
Robin?
Robin. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Next, payment of invoices. First invoice, Innovative Engineering, $3,644.69. Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Robin, second. Ellen?
Yep.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Next one, Slam, $41,225. Have a motion to approve. Pat,
Also,
second. Case?
since you called my name already.
Yeah, I know.
Were they, excuse me, were they expected to be here tonight?
No, he's on vacation. Discussion, all in favor?
Fair question.
Aye. Next one, PL Companies, $9,413.25. Have a motion to approve. Ellen? Second,
I'll second.
second, Robin. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Next one, Tri-State, as John stated, they are almost very little doing now.
Until we start phase 2B.
Yeah, this is all their stuff for $24,987. Have a motion to approve. Casey, second.
I'll second.
Second, Helen. All in favor? Aye, okay. Next one is National Library relocation. They have taken all the books out of the high school, and they're relocating at their offices until the high school libraries, and then they'll bring them back. So all the books are now out of the high school and in National Library's relocation facility in Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
Eddie, will there be the same charge to bring them back?
No, it's, I think the purchase order was 11,000, I'm not sure. So what there's also is the
Business.
storage.
Yes.
Storage. And then we're gonna have a meeting September, October, because they are now in charge of moving the middle school library. So we have to discuss that. We have a motion to approve $7,993. That, and second Doug. All in favor? Aye, opposed, okay. The last one is R&B. They have stored material, as I sent to you, in the warehouse. I have pictures. And the insurance, $292,167. Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
So John, Casey. Discussion, all in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay. That does it for me. John, round the horn, comments?
Nothing here, thank you.
Doug?
Thank you for your patience with questions about sun blindness and colons and the whole thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We have to be careful with that.
Yeah.
I'm
Robin?
not sure how I'm supposed to be switched from an employee now to a community member. in
There's no
paperwork.
switches, you're just here, you live in town, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so don't worry.
somebody mentioned something that might, paperwork
Oh, yeah?
might need to be changed, but,
I don't know.
No, why?
Okay.
Who would do that? The Board of Ed?
Yeah.
The Board of Ed appointed her
Right,
to the
Right, well,
committee.
when someone was no longer on the board, like Fiona and Kathy,
Yeah.
we just made a motion
Yeah.
to continue that membership for that
Okay.
person. Continue that role.
Yeah, but she hasn't been employed for,
no, I just retired.
Just
Oh, you
retired.
did?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
geez.
used, no, I thought you retired in September.
I am Mario.
Thanks a lot.
No, I thought you retired at the start of this school year.
No, no,
Oh, she was.
Oh, you just retired.
just
Well,
retired.
congratulations. And I make a motion that we accept Robin for whom she is, a private citizen.
I'll
Oh,
second.
yeah, second.
Congratulations, Rob.
Okay,
You deserve it.
all in favor, aye, okay. Second question, anyone? Yeah.
Retirement party.
Casey, anything?
I'm good.
Good.
Also,
Wait, thank you.
Mike?
All set, thanks.
Couple. The inspections in tech ed are gonna be when?
Inspections, the in-wall.
Yeah.
Electrical inspection.
Yeah, that will allow you to
To continue sheet
keep those
rocking
guys
all the way
kicking butt down
down
there,
there.
yeah,
Yep, so now they're not next week, they're in the middle of the following week,
yeah.
and on the 30th, 31st.
That seems like it'll flow for the drywall guy, though, right? 'Cause-
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we've sheet rocked now the lower level, you saw the photo that Mike had shared.
Yeah.
And Mario's comment is we want to continue that team of people to be moving into the last two rooms, our construction tech and CNC room. And yes, that's,
You guys are doing all right, though.
all right,
I think you'll be done in time.
I think so.
All right.
Now, no
Committee
leading the
yet.
witness, all right?
Yeah.
I am leading the
Yeah.
witness,
Yeah,
right?
you're leading the way.
Put
So-
your shirt out from behind the shirt.
Hey, listen,
Stand up behind the shirt.
The chiller work,
The,
the
yes,
work being done beneath the chiller, around the chiller.
very important, very critical path for us. So the chiller's landed. The team of plumbers that have to pipe the pipes from the building, through the building and out onto the roof and then underneath all the chillers and connecting them to the chillers.
Right.
They have been at that work for now, I don't know, just about 2 weeks. And they finish on Tuesday.
That's the one underneath, they go
Yeah,
underneath.
yeah, so that means we'll have air conditioning soon, we hope.
We are turning on 2 of the air handling units on Monday.
Oh, wow.
So we're moving air through the building on Monday.
But not air.
And then in order to make that air cold, we have to fire off the chillers, 3 large chillers on the roof. That scheduled startup is a week from Monday. So we'll finish the piping on Tuesday. There's a little bit of flushing that has to happen to the pipes, we clean them out. And then we introduce water into the units and we turn the units on.
And lastly, I think they could be doing a better job of protecting the roof. You know, they have sheets of plywood here and there.
Okay.
But there's a lot of debris flying around. You know, I don't know if you guys are monitoring it.
Yeah, we're up there every day, so.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Dean and I met on the auto shop. And I'd like Dean to explain what he saw and where we may be heading.
Yeah, so we went through and re-inventoried some of the equipment that's in there and just looking at a lot of years of developing that shop into what it is. Tough to define when you're in there exactly what you do in there because there is so much stuff in there, but there's a lot of automotive stuff, there's a lot of welding apparatus in there, there's a lot of metal working tools in there also, along with electronic stuff. So it's a very busy place, and talk to the boss as far as, where we're gonna go forward. Sue's kind of working on a curriculum to see exactly what that shop is gonna do, what we're gonna need for that shop to go forward. So again, there's a lot of stuff in there that I don't think we're ready, like the welding stuff, there's a lot of welding stuff in there. I don't think the design of this automotive shop is designed to be a welding shop.
Correct. There's no hood in there.
There's no welding hood, is
No
there?
welding hoods in there, and we have some of that stuff in there, so it's comes down to curriculum.
We are planning to move some welding to it.
So,
Yeah.
We have time for that.
How
to
would,
discuss.
we have time, right?
Yeah.
But how would we weld without?
Without a hood?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to.
Yeah.
It's a MIG welder, so I don't know if that requires.
well, listen, there is MIG, there's all MIG, there's a combination, or but there's a hood in the existing school.
In the existing.
Yeah, it's functioning, but there's definitely a system. So
There's
that
a lot of
was-
stuff that goes with that, explosion proof.
Yeah.
Fixtures and.
Right.
We're putting
There
the
was-
full welding rig, it's not just.
Yeah. It has to be a consideration, I mean, that we have to balance curriculum and cost, of course. But it's what? I mean, what's our drop dead date and having that thing totally,
Well, we've actually engaged now the final process of, we're now looking into what we're gonna be building, right? We're starting our work there in January. Your drop dead is still a couple months away. Okay. I'm at a point where duct work is being fabricated.
Right, but we should also know what we're gonna get rid of and what we have to store. Because the shop's 6 months out.
well, that's true, we do have to clean out the,
Yeah,
There's established dates for when you will have your product out of that. And you agonize it. Your product will be moved by others. My trade takes your stuff, takes it, puts it in storage until the new building is ready.
but we don't
It's a
wanna
small
move
window of
stuff that's
time
not,
there.
I'm not gonna use
Yeah,
it.
we're not gonna
Correct.
do this,
right, so in that regard, the time shrunk a
Yeah.
little.
Well, and you just, and that is a very aggressive timetable to demolish a building.
Yeah.
And put back a new fully functioning building in its place, that I would err on the side of caution, because from a procurement standpoint.
Procurement and prefabrication will happen a great deal in the Area H build or Phase 2B build.
Yeah.
What I was saying is that we're already looking at and confirming that the underground piping, first thing that we're gonna install, all the inverts work, everything works. In this case, instead of field building that, we want all that product prefabricated, with all the fittings that are already on it, to show up in a truck and get put into a trench. Similarly, all of the ductwork has to be all pre-figured out, pre-shop drawings, all calculations finished, fabricated. When the steel is up and the building is fireproof, the ductwork is going in. We are still in a position where that final set of shop drawings has not been developed. It doesn't begin to get developed until the beginning of September.
So, make a decision.
The other one thing that popped into my head now was, I know we talked about 2 lifts.
Yes,
And the one in the drawing shows a lift that is designed for front end alignments.
oh, yeah, right.
Right, so the other lift is a conventional lift that you don't do front end alignments with.
Similar to what we have.
Pretty much what we have, the front end alignment lift, you need more than a lift, you need a computer program to go with it. I'm not sure how that landed on the blueprint.
Right.
So there's pros and cons to having one of those to do front end alignments, but the con is you really can't use that lift for other activity. It's more difficult to do other activities on that, brake jobs, tires, whatever else. You could do them, but there's a caveat of maybe
Yeah,
some
so
jacks and.
The way it was explained to Dean and I, this alignment lift, there's like a $65,000 laser-driven balance, or I don't know what to call it, balancing program, right?
Alignment.
It's a big commitment.
You know, it's showing it on the drawing, but it's not, I didn't see anything else where it said, hey, here's the system that goes with it, so besides the lift, there's that.
I guess we're not doing alignments now, right? I guess.
Well, no, we don't have equipment for it.
You can't do an alignment on the regular lift,
No, you need this alignment system,
the system, okay.
which I believe it shows that in the drawings.
Yeah.
Looking at the outline of it and having our automotive guy looking at it, that's an alignment lift.
Not in contract.
Right,
That's what it currently shows on the drawing,
right.
and a nice picture of a fancy thing. But it is not purchased through what we have contracted thus far.
No, but this
The
committee
alignment
has
one.
stated they wanted
Correct.
2 lifts.
Or the other second one. So if you said, I don't want the alignment one, I want to put another lift in there, he's saying there's
That's
nothing
not
in
in
the
there
contract.
either, we only have one lift in our.
Right now, yes.
Currently, in the
Now.
contract, to be clear, there was an existing lift, and we were relocating it from the existing school to the new school. Since that time, the use of the lift has been reconsidered.
Okay,
That's currently what we purchased through contract.
One lift.
is relocating the existing.
No, they're not purchasing.
We're not
We don't
purchasing
have
any
any
purchase.
new lifts.
We have no new lift.
Relocating one lift.
Correct.
Now,
Right.
Now,
this,
that's in,
the folks that,
Scope of
the
work.
folks
That's
that we
in the
met
scope of
with
work.
said it's gonna cost you half the amount to move that thing than it would to buy a new one. So,
I'll have to find out.
and then, the cabling gets damaged and all kinds of stuff,
Liability of just moving it along.
correct?
the one that we have now is a front end line?
No,
No, it's a
We don't have any
regular
front line alignment.
Okay,
It's a regular, and it's
Okay,
about
gotcha.
11 grand or so. So if we had to buy two of those, okay, we're gonna have to definitely buy one, it sounds like. But if we have to buy one of those and an alignment lift with the computer laser program, the other lift, they think is about 65 grand.
what good is a lift without the program?
It's
Yeah.
not, the one that
No, it's
showed,
not.
I wanted to be known
So-
that it's not just a
So
lift.
Mike and
Right,
Sue
right.
will decide,
So we're not relocating that one lift?
no, because it's not worth
It's
it.
not worth it, okay.
Yeah, it's not worth the liability and the cost.
But it's in the scope that we have a lift.
We have relocating that lift.
That lift,
So
so
you
we
get
get
a
credit.
credit back for not relocating it.
Yeah.
And then we'd
we'll
have to
see-
purchase
then
a
we'll
lift.
Purchase whatever is the
Gotcha.
final decision.
Okay,
Okay.
so it's a work in progress. All right. Ed, can I keep going? Interestingly, remember you told us when we demo the building, if you tip it upside down and if it falls, we really are responsible for it.
That was one way of looking, so we made a decision as a committee way back when we were in pre-construction. And the decision was when you pick up a building and you turn it upside down, anything that falls out, who owns disposing of that? So in this case, those bookcases on the far wall there, fastened to the wall, my trade would own getting rid of them. But who owns all the books that nobody wants anymore? That would fall into whose course. This committee made a decision to package all of that into the contract that you have through our contractor. So you guys basically take what you want and walk away,
Okay,
and we
so
take care of everything.
that was the
else.
question, all these desks and everything, like a desks, a classroom worth of desks, they're too old to keep. They're just gonna get crushed.
Whatever you don't take out. we
Well,
dispose
what
of.
we normally do would be to go to all the schools here, come in and, you would use some of the stuff because.
Right.
Because the high school cafeteria tables, would go to another school and so forth.
Potentially, right,
Yeah.
right. All right, but the stuff that we don't want, we could just leave.
Leave it there.
And what we talked about early on too was that, if we want to try to find another home for those things, you have a very limited amount
Right.
of time to do that,
I think,
so that it doesn't hold up tearing the building down.
Sometimes
That's
you wanna have the,
Because we've seen that in other schools, and as much as people, other districts and things, they love that idea, when push comes to shove, they then want you to deliver it to them, and
Yeah, of
and
course.
the stuff ends up sitting there, and
No, we're
now,
We're not delivering.
we're not going outside a district, it would be just our own stuff.
Right, and also, sometimes nonprofits may want something. So may have them come in and mark some stuff.
So Dean, Dan and I were just discussing, after school's over, January 17th, we have 2 weeks before you really,
you gotta be in there surveying that before.
oh, of course, of course. No, I mean 2 weeks, just a grace period. It's just a grace period.
2 weeks after the student population leaves, we are gonna cordon off a portion of that building to start the abatement and demolition. That will include the existing high school gym, the existing rooms on the field side of that, and the section of the two-story building that's closest to our building. That portion will bubble off. Anything that's left in there is hazardous.
Well, you did mention that if there's the other portion of the building that is separated, if there's stuff, we have a little bit more time over there. If we were to move something and put it over there, we can store it there until you said,
Probably a month.
A month
3 weeks
later.
if we're tight.
you know,
If the demo guy moves like a maniac, it might
Right.
be 3 weeks.
sure.
But then the last piece of that puzzle is the building is decommissioned at that point.
Mhm.
Your water's turned off, your power's sketchy, it starts to get uncomfortable place to be.
So without temperature control and cold storage, is there any other type of liability we should be careful of let's just say, having our guys moving stuff from one spot to another in a decommissioned building? Is there any issues with that?
It'd be a question for your insurance carrier.
Yeah.
I would also keep out the general public.
No, the general public.
Nonprofit,
Yeah.
you know, in any area, because your insurance.
Right,
No,
right,
but
you,
I
right,
would-
you would only want people in there that are covered by
Yes,
Yeah.
your policy.
Yeah, or the city's policy, which would be.
Right.
no public. We have a little, or I have a little idea regarding that, that we could talk later on about the public. A lot of people wanted to see the school once more before. So I could get into that with you guys later on, and it's.
Yeah, but we're in our preliminary stages. We have our first meetings with the abatement demolition contractor as far as developing that fine line detail of how much building he's going to cordon off at once, where all the way down to the auto shop end, he may not at all get down there, and that will become an area of storage.
Yeah, that's good, because that's where a lot of stuff is.
Right, in your
Especially talk
cafeteria,
about
you got some larger spaces there to hold
Yeah.
product.
Yeah, and I did ask you today about the radon, and he texted me back and said this is Mr. Harris who does our radon testing. He said normally that would be done in construction phase. So
Okay.
we just look into that.
I'll double check. I did not, I just went off my memory.
Okay,
What Dean's referring to is the first series of radon tests in the new structure, whether it's covered under our contract or not. What I'm recalling from our contract is we have a passive system until proven that it needs to become active. In other words, we have all the pipe and infrastructure, but we don't have fans. So we're not dragging any air out of the building. There's no mitigation required as part of our contract. The testing may be or may not be, and that's at what point you'd have to purchase fans to make it.
so the testing is what I'm talking about. We're up for our 5-year testing of all our schools.
Right.
So my question to him was, number one, the old school, and then the new school, and then the middle school that's going to be happening in September.
So I will double check to make sure that I either own that testing or don't own that testing. And did he say December is an okay timeframe?
I didn't get that far. Once he said that to me, I left it all. I don't think there should be a problem. What about, I'm sure that will come through with all the construction documents as far as the other type of testing that we go through every year. Exit lights, emergency lights, generator, all that jazz will be ready to roll, and your startup.
Once we achieve a substantial completion for the portion of the building that you're occupying, those quarterly and twice a year tests don't fall under our requirements. We basically are taking the product, we're taking the building. The exception to that is where we specifically identified it to the HVAC contractor, the elevator contractor. They have maintenance requirements for, in some cases, 6 months, some cases a year, in which it's brought under our contract that the elevator, you have a service contract for a year with the elevator.
Because you're using that stuff. That's what our
No,
contract.
what I'm saying is after you occupy, once we turn over this building to you
Yeah.
in December.
Yeah.
We're still, because the documents are written that way.
Right.
Elevators are always taken care of for 1 year.
Okay.
So you won't have to do maintenance on that. But typically, like your quarterly or by twice a year fire alarm tests, those are not covered.
So
Once it's signed off.
6 months after you take occupancy of the building, and they come in and test the fire alarm isn't issued, that's on you.
It's a warranty problem.
It's a
right?
warranty.
It's a defective
So
part.
warranty's a year.
It's something that failed because
Yeah.
it worked when we turned it on.
Yeah.
But 6 months later, some part went bad. Yes, that's covered under warranty. But the physical person that has to walk around and do the test is not.
Right.
You still have to schedule that person.
Anything, Mike, from you? John? You had enough.
Great tour again, as usual.
Oh, yeah.
So you made it on Saturday.
Yeah, she
It
did.
was great, and it never didn't even rain.
No, it didn't.
No, it was great, yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, next meeting, August 15th. Have a motion to adjourn at 6:45. At second, John. Right, John?
I second.
Okay, very good.